Welcome to Tech This Way.
So hi.
Hello.
So FoxyMojo,
Yes.
interesting name. So obviously we've met each other for a while.
Yep.
A few times. And at the MDEC especially lah, right?
Yes.
But then when we keep bumping into each other on all kinds of events. In Johor the last time.
Small ecosystem.
Very small ecosystem, right?
Yes.
And then we started talking about sourdough bread.
That's very interesting.
Kan? And that's why we met now for me to give you my starter. And then I realized FoxyMojo, right? CEO of FoxyMojo. What is that, right?
Yes.
So before we get there, why don't you give us a long background
Long background.
of yourself, right? Your entrepreneurial journey and how you ended up with FoxyMojo.
Yes. First of all, thanks for having me. And I started in year 2001 when I was 15 years old. By chance, I became an entrepreneur because I spent a lot of time in cyber cafes, not to play games like Half-Life or Counter-Strike, but I spent most of the time coding websites. I self-taught developer.
So you're saying, okay, so your hometown is in Segamat. This is like some small school in Segamat.
Yes, it's in Segamat. It's actually cyber cafe in Segamat. So I'm actually their revenue contributor. So I spend a lot of time in cyber cafes. This is during the dial-up internet 1515. So I spent a lot of time in cyber cafe trying to understand internet. I don't know why I'm so curious. But I was so driven to explore internet, and up to an extent that I was asked to do websites and they're willing to pay. That's how I actually became entrepreneur. I didn't know about commercialization at all. I just
So who was your first customer? Do you remember?
Actually my school.
Okay.
Yeah, so we was using GeoCities platform at that time. It was 60 ringgit deal.
Right.
It was very small, and then I got Villa Hotel Segamat, and a few others. And
So so those days even GeoCities they were hosting it was just pure HTML lah.
Pure HTML
Right.
and also JavaScript.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we
Some
use Dynamic
JavaScript.
Drive, download those scripts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the school actually, how did the school know that you were doing websites?
Yeah. So one of the teacher actually developed website as well.
Okay.
And he saw me that has a lot of passion on website. He said, "Why not you help the school?" So I said, "Okay." Actually, it's not the school paid me, but it's actually the teacher.
Okay.
So that's how I realized that these services can make money. After that, I actually moved on. I was selling ebooks, SMS Blaster, helping marketing companies. So I provide gateways, and I did web hosting services. I learned a lot of painful experience. There was no mentor about doing business. I don't even know that I have to register a business at that point of time.
Right. And this is all while you're still in school?
I was still started when I was still in school, in 16, 17, 18 years old.
Wow, good.
Yeah. So because the services and because of the passion I have internet. And I stumbled upon electronic office in almost the same year, about 2002. So people talk about electronic office like recently, but actually it was like many years ago. It's like 2002 people have been using it. So I learned a lot from my counterparts in via web chat at that time.
Okay.
Around the world. So they helped me to understand.
So when you say counterparts on web chat,
designers, business people, so they teach me like, hey.
So what was the
monetization.
platform? What was the platform then that you could connect to all these people?
Web chat. That was a website, Earth Web Development. So they have a link to a few web chat. So that web chat actually have they have by category. So they have for business. So I learned about how monetization about ebooks. I learned about web hosting, so we can start reselling, and then I own VPS, and then I have dedicated servers, and then providing services. But I had a very painful experience in web hosting because I didn't know why people have two servers. but I only had one server. It was hosted in Singapore.
Oh no, I can imagine where this is going.
Yeah, it was crazy. So one of the client, I didn't validate. I don't even know that there's a need to validate our clients.
Huh.
I got called by Bank Negara that the client is hosting a money game platform
On your
on my
server.
server. They blacklisted my IP. All my clients in the shared server could not access those
Oh,
server
man.
for 1 week, and every day people really they get into me. It was very stressful moment. Then at that point of time, I learned that I need a backup server.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you say that your servers crashed, but
Not
actually
service
it
crash.
was
It
shut
was
down.
it was
Blacklisted.
blacklisted IP. I was hosted in Kala IDC, and then since then I have one in Cyberjaya, who's by TM, and then another one in Singapore. So
So this is another mirror lah, basically.
another mirror. But I learned a lot from angry customers. It's very true. And
Yeah.
it's very hard to handle customers. At that point of time,
How old were you then?
I was
When that
about 19,
Oh
20.
man.
Yeah. I mean, today entrepreneurship is very interesting because you have a lot of people telling you and sharing with you about experience, how they manage difficult customer. At that point of time, I didn't know what to do, honestly. Yeah, but I just keep on pick up the calls by clients. They be shouting at me.
Ouch.
Yeah. So that was very painful moment. I grew from that. I learned about entrepreneurship in a hard way, and after a while, I decided that I don't want to do this because I feel that I'm not growing well. So I actually joined corporate sector, banking, financial services, RBC, investor services.
Okay.
This was by chance as well. I was accompanying my friend to Job Street Fair. And then this guy named Duncan White, who is actually the COO of RBC Dexia, was there. And he just have a chat with me, and he said, what do you want to achieve, and what are you looking for? So I said that I want to learn about corporates, and I want to know how the SOPs, because I came from entrepreneur background, so I don't know about structure and a lot of things. So I use OKR, started in 2010. So because of this OKR that I've set for 10 years, I know what I want to experience.
What was it called then? Is it called OKR?
Actually, I actually stumbled upon OKR. It is really OKR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was back then. So I know the experience, so I shared with Duncan. Duncan immediately interviewed me and then asked the HR director to immediately print
Who was
the
also
offer
there?
letter. Who was also there. Print the offer letter immediately. And I told Duncan, look, I don't know this business, seriously. I don't know, because I was about to go into securities, fund management. I told him that I don't have experience. I don't know. But
it seems like you wanted to go into the finance world.
not
the banking
really.
world,
I actually want to learn about corporate and how corporate run business,
Okay.
because I've never had that experience. So I don't know. And they said, I'm going to give you the chance, and I think you will excel. I told him, like, this is not something that I'm familiar, I graduated in international business, and this is different field. But he said, let's try it. So I went to RBC with 20 over people. Most of them have experience in the industry. The reason why they joined RBC at that time, the perk of a new company, about a year plus, is that they offer bigger salaries.
Right.
So a lot of people from HSBC, Stanchart, and everyone is
Okay.
actually jumping into the company. So they have an average about 4 to 7 years experience. I have none. So so because of again, I have the goal in my mind. Every day after work, after 9 hours, I actually spend time to learn in depth about the business of RBC. And after a year, I actually became the subject matter expert. RBC gave me 5-time revised salary in 2 years.
Wow.
In 2 years,
And
very
this is
fast.
not even going in there into the development, IT
Not
space.
at all. Because I just want to learn about the process, business process. So they gave me the opportunity. Very interesting. So because I was scared. I need to catch up with everyone because everyone seems like a pro.
Right. Yeah.
They know the securities market very well. They know how to tweak and etc. But I was surprised. it was a surprise for almost everyone that I got promoted after 1 year. I thought that some of those people actually will get promoted, and I managed the Asia operations for that function
Okay.
in 1 year.
Hmm.
So, and then I was so comfortable after two and a half years. People wouldn't actually see that I'm gonna leave the company, but actually I left the company after 2.5 years and joined MDEC because the next thing that I want to see is that how the government works.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have in mind that I want to know like how really the government, what's the reality of working in the government. Of course, prior to join government, I always thought that the government I can go in for breakfast and then read newspaper and then I can go back early, But I
Okay.
didn't get that in MDEC. That was crazy. So the first 6 months, I actually rarely can go back before 10 o'clock.
Hmm.
The
What year
first-
was that when you joined MDEC?
It was in 2013.
Okay.
Division run by Michael Warren. He's actually my mentor. He's a great mentor. I've learned a lot in RBC about structure, but I've learned so much more in MDEC because that role is under special project.
Hmm.
So when I MDEC hiring manager was very nice. His name was Danish. So Danish called me on Sunday when I applied via JobStreet.
Hmm.
And then he called me on Sunday, did the interview for 1 hour, and then he actually briefed me for the next interview that he really liked and wanted me to join.
Hmm.
I got 3 stages of interview and the rest of the history. So historically, that role is actually for people about 30 over years old. I was about 20 plus.
Hmm.
And actually, I'm the youngest.
And only the second job.
Only the second job, and it was pleasantly surprised that I already got there.
Hmm.
So of course, as a young people, I was doing special projects. Not many people in the company, even in the same company, would know what we are doing. They know we are wearing tie, we're wearing coat, but we
Like some secret
because
division.
under OSA, we couldn't share the deals. Of course, I muted stupid ideas to management when I, as a young person. So I was looking at global services index. Malaysia has been the top 3 destination in the world. So I told the management in one of the meetings, I said, the new goal, let's make Malaysia as number 2. So we're always number 3. Actually, it was a stupid idea. We never beat India and China, number 1 and number 2. So the business that I was assigned is actually about labor arbitrage.
Okay.
So internet has allowed the world to be flat, and you can have front office in somewhere and back office in somewhere. So Malaysia has benefiting a lot from this. So that's why we attracted a lot of shared services, business process outsourcing companies.
Yeah.
And that was my role is to ensure the growth of the company, and then they can grow the jobs and investment in the country.
So it sounded like you had a free hand in terms of which area, in terms of special projects that you wanted to go.
Only
into.
focus only for the Fortune 500 listed companies.
Okay.
So because a lot of intel that we need to do because we are competing with other countries. Other countries are bidding projects as well. So we have to do a lot of work on that. And I think being a perks of being young is that a lot of seasoned CEOs, because I'm actually a performance manager, surprisingly. So I have to work with them and their senior management.
Right.
So they usually rope me into the boardroom to see how they actually structure and solve a problem. So I learned a lot, quite firsthand, with them. So that's why I actually have not run Fortune 500 companies, but I have an idea is how they do it because and sometimes after a while I've been doing that. Sometimes people in IBM, for example, call me, hey, do you know that how to solve this problem? Because they know that I probably have seen the problem in HP, for example.
Right. Okay.
I've seen the problem somewhere. And I realized that corporate companies' problem is almost the same because I think the structure they adopt is pretty much the same, and the kind of problem they are facing almost the same.
Like what? What were some of the few problems, common ones that you saw across different large companies?
Usually with regulators, and sometimes with the Majlis Perbandaran, for example.
The local councils,
the
whoever
local
they are.
councils, not easy to push, and sometimes they want to build they want to have their own buildings, own requirements, and also people's problem, talent. We also have on the talent part. It's not easy. Talent has always been the issue since day one, but we have a way to to negotiate with that.
So help me understand the relationship between these companies with MDEC and your role.
I cannot share in details, but most of the companies reinvest in Malaysia or growing their investment in Malaysia is not by chance. It's actually a lot of work being done at the background.
So So the role of MDEC when you were there was to attract these companies
To make sure that they grow their base and business. So we have established global presence. Some of these companies started as their local office or probably regional office. For example, Standard Chartered. So the Global Stanchart Global Nerve Center is actually based in Bukit Jalil. That was one of my project actually.
I see.
At that time. So we managed to brought even the chairman and everyone came here to visit Malaysia. They convinced that Malaysia would be able to deliver such facility with quite reasonable cost. I'm not saying we are the cheapest, but
the cheap is not everything.
Yeah, cheap is not everything.
Yeah.
So I did learn a lot from them, and then after that, Datuk Yasmin came in. When Obama came in to launch Magic at that time, so I was involved at the background to do entrepreneurs bootcamp to deliver and show Obama that we have some entrepreneurs. Right. That was one of.
Was that a bit of wayang kulit, you think, or is it real?
No comment on that.
Anyway, right.
I got involved and I was so passionate.
It was exciting times, right? It was very exciting.
It was really exciting time, and actually at that point of time, my CEO was Datuk Badisham, and they were shocked, and also Datuk Wan Peng was shocked when they saw me in the VIP rooms in at Magic, and why am I here? And I told you, okay, at the background, actually helping entrepreneurs. So people in MDEC realized that I love entrepreneurship so much. And during Datuk Yasmin's time, they repurposed one of the division to become a startup division because they see the opportunity to grow and also the focus area to support tech startup. That's why the growth ecosystem development under HIZAM actually created. So they were looking at me. You better be right about this. And I was in charge to lead the engagement with startup founders. So I spend a lot of my time day in, day out, even after office hour, working closely with founders from different stages, from just starting out, or Series A, Series B, not many between Series B, but mostly at seed round.
And this would be Malaysian
companies as a start. And then I actually grew up network of attracting foreign entrepreneurs to Malaysia, and also before that I had the opportunity to help the SME company. When I was working with the Fortune 500 companies, I've learned a lot from them. So I thought I'm smart lah. I thought I knew how to help other companies. So I told my boss, I said, I want to add value to the IT solution and services company. They are probably presence about 10 years on average. Okay. They make about between 5 to 30 million steady, but they're not growing. Yeah. So I created CEO accelerator program called Leadership Dojo. Okay. So my partner in crime at that time was Roshan Tiran from Leadernomics. So Roshan is like a program manager. So we got support from Tan Sri Jama Aziata at the time and Elburn. So we managed to push 3 PwC and everyone actually to help to mentor, because I realized one thing is that SME got totally different problems. So when I talked to SME CEOs, I was like, huh? This is your problem?
But at the same time, from a support standpoint, there's also Cradle who is doing very similar things in terms of the mentorships, right?
I think it's different. I think it's different for for Cradle is more on the tech startup, but these
Mm.
guys are for example, the system integrator of the world. They probably provide core banking solutions.
Okay. So a little bit more established lah.
They are established. They are established, but they're not growing.
Okay. Right. So then as you were
Yeah,
you
so
thought that you could help all these guys?
yeah, I could help these guys, but apparently I know nothing. I know nothing. Really, it's a totally different ball game.
Mm.
That has actually reflected in my mind and said, look, this is very exciting because I don't know how to do it.
Right.
So we brought in people from around the world. We got Josh Correiser, IMD professor. He was former hostage negotiator, flew in from Switzerland. We got Kate Sweetman from MIT.
Mm.
Outthinker founder. We got Kai Han. We got amazing entrepreneurs to help to open the mind of our business leaders in Malaysia. The
Mm.
problem is that, like, when we did the CEO Accelerator program, this is the first time in the history that we charge up to 30,000 ringgit
Mm.
per CEO, and they paid.
Right.
They paid. We got 16 CEOs. They actually was very they're not so convinced to be part of that this program could change them.
Mm.
But they say, okay, why not? Since you are
Right.
so passionate about it, maybe we can try.
Yeah.
So they jump to the ship, and so we know that we don't have the expertise to do it, but
Mm.
that's why we got the corporate CEOs to bridge between what the corporate has versus what they need to know on on that side. The first two classes, apparently everybody is sitting like this
Mm.
because they think that I've seen this before.
Right.
I've been
Nothing
running.
new.
I've been running company for 10 years. I don't think you need to tell me how to run business. I know how to do it. But
Mm.
after third class, they realize, shit,
Huh.
there's
a lot more
I
to
know nothing. I know nothing about shifting culture.
Mm.
So they know about new financial forecasts,
Mm.
operational plan, but they have not shift their culture to
Mm.
grow from where they are to where they want to be.
Mm.
So those are some of the things that they made them realize, and they actually committed. They came to class, like really came to class every week.
As in, yeah, they really want to learn lah. They
they
realize,
really want to learn. After that,
Mm.
they realize they know they don't know much.
Mm.
Yeah, so we.
But of
managed
course,
to
they also
break-
paid for the course, so they need to.
Yes, they
should,
paid
but
for
at
the
least now
course,
they've got the.
but the realization
interest,
was really different.
Mm.
The way they talked to me at that time was like, I was like, wow, this is amazing, an eye opener.
Mm.
But before that, it was different. Yeah, so we got inspiring people like Zainal Dinek shared his story with them and how he made it. So it was so proud moment after they graduated and they actually got tractions that they need. Some of them like really have a hockey stick just by changing things. So the trick of that leadership dojo is not just about at getting them to go to class for an eye opener, but we know that when they go back to the office, they're probably afraid or not sure how to implement.
Yep.
So we actually deploy executive coaches that we got from Australia and a few other countries to actually sit beside them to make sure they implement what they need to implement. So that's actually, I feel that's one of the contributor of why they able to execute.
Right.
And yeah, so in a nutshell, I've been a corporate doing it, and then in government, negotiation with Fortune 500 companies, and then SME startups, and then during startups, I liaise a lot with investors, venture capital, private equity, built a lot of relationships
Right.
until today.
So you were building that network lah, right?
I'm building that
Yeah.
network. Yes. Then
Okay.
I came back in round 2 as an entrepreneur, and then started FoxyMojo.
Why did you leave? Why did you leave MDEC? Was it just time? You were
it-
there for a while though.
Yes, my time is only 2 years, and usually 2 years. Actually, that's part of my OKR. So
Okay.
2 years.
Don't
So
stay too
even
long.
when Danish called me first place, I told him like I'm gonna be in this role only for 2 years. Are you okay? So he said, yeah, okay, that's fine. So that's my agreement with him. I will
Okay.
not withdraw earlier.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were there longer.
Actually, a total about 4 years
Ah.
or 4.5 years because I got promoted to help SMEs and
Ah,
startups.
okay. So your role kind of changed, but you were still there lah.
Yeah, still does because I wouldn't do the same role in 2
Yeah.
years. So
So
that's
then
my
what happened?
mantra.
So towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end, I have built enough network. It takes a lot of courage to restart as an entrepreneur.
Mm.
Go back to my journey as an entrepreneur. Started with my co-founder Jerry. Jerry is a finance guy,
Mm.
corporate finance, all with numbers, and I'm the business guy.
Mm.
So we started a company. So we focus on SME.
What's it called?
FoxyMojo.
Okay, so FoxyMojo lah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's how we started FoxyMojo.
Mm.
We've started with focusing on helping SME.
Mm.
With outsourced CFO function. Like they usually have accountant, but they don't or bookkeeper.
Yeah.
They don't really have CFO per se.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's just somebody to do the books at the end of the year, right? To do your
yes,
audit.
yes. So they report to us. Some of the companies are in retail, in manufacturing, SME companies.
Okay.
That's how we started, and then I on my side, I've been helping companies, traditional companies that in oil and gas, for example, make decent money, but very traditional. So they want to go into a new venture. So this is
So
why.
sorry, just take a step back. So you were in MDEC, right? So you're getting itchy already. It's time to move on. How did you from there decide, okay, what areas to go to with your partner Jerry, right? In terms of setting up a business. How did you decide?
It's natural progression. With the network that we have. During my time in MDEC, I've had many heart-to-heart discussion with business owners, and I know their pain, and I just need to provide solutions to that.
So one of the pain points that you saw was this lack of a CFO role inside these companies.
That is one. They don't really have a proper CFO because it's expensive to have CFO. But second is that they have a lot of operational plan. They have a lot of budget forecast. But in terms of strategically, genuinely to move from where they are to where they want to be, very few, probably none, close to none actually have real plan how to move from where they are to where they want to be. So that's with SMEs. That's actually paying the bills for us. So we help them. We don't want to say digital transformation because that's very big word. We play some role, some part of it to mutate the idea of why not you try this, why not you try that. But we wouldn't say that transformation because like it's such a big word, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we started.
Okay.
So right now we are working with reputable partners around the world. We are focusing more on helping to identify deals in the region. Actually, we're working with listed companies in Tokyo to invest and acquire companies in Southeast Asia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now our interest is more on retail, logistics, and also HR firm, like recruitment firm. That's something in the interest of our investors at the back. So we work with CVCs.
So this is a little different now than your original business, which was, the outsourced kind of CFO role. So it's moved into more strategic.
It's actually the same. It's actually management. It's under management consulting. So how we started with, because the lowest hanging fruit at that time was CFO role.
Right.
And then also business strategy. These two are actually our natural progression. But after that, we realized that some of these guys needs money. And a lot of, we're not just helping businesses, but we also help venture capital. Some venture capital, they want to raise from CVCs, and actually some of them successful because we vouch, because we have the network. Like for example, in Japan, it's a bit different. You need to have a good relationship in order to get them to invest and do something with you. So I've built that relationship. That's also the reason why I focus a bit more on Japan.
How did that happen? Japan.
So I met this guy named Hajime. I think about 4 years ago. He's a serial entrepreneur investor. He used to work for Satya Nadella in the US, and he resides here in Malaysia. He founded few companies and currently.
So he was from Microsoft before.
He was from Microsoft in the US,
Okay.
in Redmond, and then he's been touring around the world, and finally decided to stay in Malaysia and with the kids and the wife.
This is Japanese guy.
Japanese guy.
Right. Okay.
It's very interesting. So I found that I like the value of understanding, tolerance, and I like the chemistry of how we respect each other. Like when, for example, we have the right to listen and the other party have the right to respond, and we tolerate. So because of that, I feel that why not? I actually focus a bit more on building relationship. So Hajime and I didn't spend a lot of time together, but I think we check in about 6 months, every 6 months, And from there, Hajime actually brought and actually connected me to some friends, and which his friend also need some help. And after, I was featured in one of the Japanese magazines. I forgot what's the magazine name, but and that took me about three years to build relationship. And also I have historical relationship with NTT. So I'm also advising NTT Docomo, for example, on some of the deal in Southeast Asia.
That was through MDEC lah, when you were still in MDEC.
Not really, even after MDEC. So interestingly, some of people actually have this mentality where you have to be backed by a reputable brand in order to be successful outside. So for example, when I moved up from MDEC, people were saying that this one maybe 2-3 months, no one will recognize, because before this people recognize because of MDEC. When I heard that, of course it somehow influenced my mind, but it takes a lot of courage to actually restart, and I feel that it was really good move. Of course, the first 2 months was very scary.
Yeah.
Very scary because we didn't really have a concrete plan, because we are about to explore something new. Even the model that we do is actually very new. Imagine, so one of our model is that we charge by weekly basis. Like, for example, I will spend about 5 hours a week with a company, and sometimes as their director in the company. And people used to have director for full time. I'm actually director for quite a number of companies for
5 hours a
5 hours a week.
Okay.
So that's new model, and so I don't intend to use the traditional way of charging. So we use that method. So far it works well. We have clients from Singapore, in the US. Even one of the recent company that we helped was acquired by Cisco. I was their director as well here in Malaysia. So typically when they hired, they want me to be part of their director as well. So
in
that's
that
how,
role, what would your role be?
There are 2 roles. Some of the companies, depending on their budget, some of the companies need advice, just purely advice, purely second opinion. Some of the company needs me to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, need me to really monitor and help them to grow the business to some extent. So we have 2 models. So that's how we price it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So either you want me just to say it, or you want me just say and do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's basically how we help companies. So mainly, we not really have local customer because it's very hard, honestly, for us to convince to get local customers in Malaysia. Actually, our customers are mostly foreign companies.
To see the value of having this part-time third party to
yes,
watch
but
over.
also we don't have a brand. We don't have a brand. So a lot of people seeing us as budak-budak lah, because we just no brand, and who will recognize you. Actually, to be fair, we actually quite being recognized up to international level. So our actually, when I say about I have the OKR for 10 years, right? I'm targeting to be a credible international consultant at the year 2020.
Oh, this year.
This year. But however, I was quite lucky. Last year, we actually got it in the sense that we were appointed by International Trade Center based in Geneva as their international consultant. Actually, our paymaster is actually UN Geneva. So usually, consultants be appointed by local organization. Let's say UN in Malaysia, they appoint Malaysian consultant. we actually international consultants being appointed by them to
Mm.
help African company
Okay.
in Uganda, not even in Southeast Asia. So that's why our presence in Malaysia, people rarely know us.
Right.
People rarely know us because we do deals, and I think bridging the gap, we are fairly new in terms of understanding how to bridge the gap
Mm.
between emerging countries and also the developed countries. For example, the deal that we are making with Tokyo listed companies is that their check size too big.
Mm.
Um,
That's a nice
so-
problem to have.
Actually very hard. So for example, recent deal is that the budget that we have, ticket size is about 10 to 50 million US.
Mhm.
For acquisition, also for maybe minority stake. The problem is that some of the potential companies in Malaysia is only making about 10 million ringgit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you can't.
so
That's like outright buying it from in local companies, right?
yeah, that's not even if their minimum budget. So minimum budget is about 40 million ringgit.
Mm.
So we actually after pandemic, our plan is to look for more deals in Singapore because they could be decent, and also Indonesia to see how we can really bridge. We need to advise back to investors that your ticket size is too big.
Right.
So in order for us to deploy, it's also quite difficult. So in the next 10 years, I want to be a successful investor. So
Mm. So
this
that's
is-
the new OKR.
there's new OKR, and the next 5 years, I want to focus on turning around companies.
Mm.
And I really want to learn because I think the key of being successful investors is to understand how to turn around companies.
Mm.
So I want to spend the next 5 years to actually working more on companies that have potential, but probably they have leadership problem, management problems, and try to turn around companies as many as I can through FoxyMojo. That will be the next challenge. While we are actually helping corporate VCs to actually investing as well. So we learn at the same time. But
Right.
I think shouldn't be much problem. It's actually natural progression. I've been been dealing with investment for quite a while, but I'm not there to really doing it yet. So I had the opportunity last year to talk to a few Malaysian tycoons in the room. So usually you meet one tycoon with their senior management, but I had a chance to talk to the multiple tycoons in the same room in Malaysia. I mooted the idea of investing in tech companies. So I asked them, hey, can you put aside about 100 million? They were laughing. You know why? Because they usually invest in billions.
Okay,
They bought land in Africa and probably in Danang or somewhere, and then develop it. And they're okay with 30% returns. 30-40% that to them looks good. But what I'm saying is 100 million 5 times.
10x or 5x.
5x. So I don't dare to say 10x
Okay,
because
fine.
they were laughing. But since then we have quite a good progress where they actually start to invest in tech. I wouldn't say tech company, but tech enabled products.
Right.
So they still stuck with the products business. So I got updated end of last year. One of the secretaries said, the company, hey, we're actually investing in tech enabled products. So what did you invest in? Oh, there's a gamma technology that when at airport you can screen. You can use that to scan and screen the luggage and all that.
Okay.
I said, okay.
Instead of the
Okay.
X-ray machine. Okay.
I said, okay, that's not really the tech
Tech
that
that you're thinking,
you're
right?
thinking of. But I said that's a good start. So they actually pretty much excited, but they want progress. So I'm seeing that also in the role of bridging the gap to actually educate educate them in terms of a new type of investments. It really take time, but it is very slow progress. I expect that probably in next 3 years they would love to be more risk taker from the way they responded. So I think what's interesting for us is actually to keep continuing feed them with information, some success story and some failure stories, so they can know what's working and what's not working. And we also once a year we try to contribute at the global level. So we are involved with UNCTAD program,
Don't know what that is.
United Nations Conference program based in Geneva.
Okay.
So usually they do it in April. So all these insights that I gathered for 1 year, I actually brought and share it in Geneva. There is a program for digitalization to development under UNCTAD. So they call all the countries in the world together with sponsor countries. So sponsor countries, the likes of the Netherlands, America, and sometimes the Fortune 500 companies. So they want to hear what's the issues. So I had that opportunity to bring that up to that level as well. So we at FoxyMojo we play with different layers, from very very individual entrepreneur to SME investors, CVCs, and also international organization. Because international organization, the importance is to influence the policy of the entire country. So not saying that they have to adopt, but they will able to come up with a reference framework that all the countries can. It's like, when you have a world custom organizations to ship things around between countries. So how do we shape it better in the next 3 years? Or what do we need to do? What the country needs to adopt? Actually, everybody knows the same problem.
Right.
Almost the same problem. What they talk about is about adoption of digitalization and also unified system. So right now the system talk different language and the other system talk different language, and always fragmented. That's always been the case. I think enough of framework and people knows about what's going on, and also we try to fit them with the latest technology and innovation that happening on the ground, because some of these guys are very high up there.
Yeah.
And that's I don't think they will be able to really see what's going on beyond whatever published in the news.
Yeah.
Whatever published in the news, probably about 10% of the entrepreneurship. But
And by the time it's there, it's 5 years old.
yes.
In terms of deployment.
Yeah. So that's how we pretty much play in FoxyMojo.
So from a business standpoint of FoxyMojo, sounds like it's very heavily reliant on yourself and individuals lah. Is the model to retain that way as a very boutique kind of consultancy, or are you having plans for expansion and getting more
Yes, we do.
consultants on it?
Yes. So we work with experts. With experts. Most of them are on part-time basis, on-demand basis. So we have not really figured it out.
So it's almost like a gig economy but the upper end gig economy.
Yes. So we work with top-tier robotic expert mathematician in Japan, for example. So we have the resource to deploy them anytime, because we actually have it. So with the network that we have, we actually work with many credible organizations because these organizations have portfolios of companies or entrepreneurs that need help. Right now, our problem is actually to choose the right community and have the right company. We could probably have the right price, so we can also source for the M&A deals, hopefully. So actually, that's very hard. I found it very hard and a lot of work, and we don't have that capacity to scale. I cannot replicate the next Atasha. Jerry cannot replicate the next himself yet. Because we actually ourselves, we are still figuring out as we speak.
Right. That's why I was saying that right now it's very heavily reliant on you guys, right? Individuals.
Yes.
Right? It's not something that you can codify and hire somebody, follow this SOP, and then go out there, right? It's the network and the experience that you guys have personally built over the last 10 years, right?
Yeah,
so
last 10 years.
Yeah, how do you replicate that lah, as you were saying?
Yes, that's our main challenge. So right now we want to move to the next stage where FoxyMojo to be not just management consulting firm, what we want to be a data-driven consulting firm. So this is what we are working towards right now.
What does that mean?
So we want to help companies to actually understand their data and simplify those data, actually by leveraging on technology that is already in the market. Like for example, one of the company called Alpha's Cloud, they provide visualization to understand cloud costs, so people can understand. So a lot of people, like for example, finance, procurement, and also engineer, don't talk the same language. So engineer provide forecast, and then suddenly they have to use more of cloud recently, probably, and then the finance guy will say, "Hey, this is over budget. How?" So they because they don't understand. So what Alphas do is actually provide the common language where no one has to go and argue with everyone. Just look at the dashboard, and you know what's going on and whether it makes sense or not. So I think leveraging on such technology help the company to save costs and reduce cloud wastage. Right now, the main issue is the cloud wastage. Cloud is fairly new in Malaysia. People are still reluctant anyway. But
So you're saying for a technology like that, you hope to bring that kind of capability to companies, lah?
yes, because we have long-term relationship with our clients, because these guys are also our clients.
Okay.
For example, right? Our recent client, our client, for example, like Cloud Cherry, they actually provide customer experience solution for retailers. So when people go into the shop, and then they have video analytics, and then to understand like how people behave in a certain area of the shops, and try to understand what's working, what's not. And those solutions is already there. So we don't have to reinvent, but we have to make them understand the data point that they have in the company, and how they can grow. And that's also partly the reason why we're interested in retail business, because we are seeing that a lot of opportunity.
Is that, I was gonna say, is there right now with all the COVID and MCO situation, well, physical retail anyway, right? Stores and all that. Are there still, or are you talking about how these physical stores can digitize themselves and be a lot more online?
Like for example, in the case of Alpha's Cloud, people don't really have a choice rather than to understand how to maintain cost effective in terms of cloud. So because a lot of people are moving online, and they use a lot more cloud, and there's a lot of cloud wastage. They don't know what they are paying unless they really have a technical guy who really understand the IaaS, like Amazon, Azure, try to understand the details of it. But mostly, if you just ask someone to go and look into the Excel, they do nothing. And this has forced adoption. It's like in a way like a forced adoption that people need to adopt. And to us, it's like just bringing what you need right now to the table. So our position is very unique in the sense that we work with like venture capital, solution provider, and everyone. So we don't need to push anything. As we speak, I know what you need, and I share this with you, what we have into a menu and what's feasible, and we draw a plan, a simple plan. If you think makes sense, we actually help, really literally in the business of helping companies to make decision. So we provide second opinion. This is how we need to do. If you like, I'll bring them in.
So it's almost like the bridge, lah.
We are,
right?
That's our main business.
Yeah, and it so happens that all the different components are in the same ecosystem, right? Whether it's from the investors who has the portfolio of companies, right? And also in your ecosystem, the companies themselves who are running their businesses.
Yes.
And then you're in the middle saying, hey, you know what? Hang on a minute. I've got some things here that could help you. And it sounds like by observing the ecosystem, you have narrowed down to the fact that, hey, you know what? There seems to be lack of usage of data in these corporates right now.
Yes.
To decide, to make decisions.
Yes.
Right? Okay. As opposed to other things like I don't know, design and you know, robotics and things like that, right? So data as a business tool.
Data is a business tool. So we're very excited because of our position. We are not stressful. We don't really have KPIs to deploy all these solutions,
Mm.
either from investment standpoint, either from solution standpoint.
Mm.
That's why for us, like for example, for investors, they have the objective in mind
Yeah.
to invest in companies, and
Yeah.
sometimes they have to make decision not getting the best, they probably second best in the market. But for us, we table out what makes sense, and the customer actually we invite them to understand, like, these are the potential options that you have, and this is our recommendations. So what do you think? And they have discussions, and once they think makes sense, then we're bringing the ecosystem, other ecosystem players that are basically our partners. That's why we don't really need manpower, because companies that we are working on are quite big and sizable.
Right.
They actually have their consultants that will be able to assist. Yeah.
So it's almost like, as you were saying, your position in the whole management consulting role is quite niche now, right? That it is just to come up with very pointed solutions for very specific businesses, right? And with the solutions that you have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's why we really like what we do. So every day, literally, what I and Jerry do is actually to listen to story. Because we believe if you want to change the world, start with a story. Not our story, but the story of person next to us, our co-workers, neighbors, our ecosystem partners. And the pain that they are saying is actually our opportunity. Whatever that they complain about, I'm not getting the right thing. I've been dealing with assholes and certain things, and that to us is an opportunity. If you listen carefully, we can actually design solutions that they need, because they feel pain, and we need to give them a pill. So technically, what we actually do every day is coffee, and coffee.
Yeah. And now bread and coffee.
Yeah, bread and coffee. Yeah,
Okay.
it takes time to.
Yeah.
to
So
pick a
obviously,
bread.
operationally, even though you guys are based here in Malaysia, but then your customers, your clients are all over lah, wherever
all
it
over.
takes you.
Yes, all over the world. We part of the reason is because they are ready, because they have the right mindset. So we don't force customer to adopt mindset. We always believe in, like, I can suggest and you have the right to respond. I don't like try to fit in our solution. No, this is the best solution in the world. You must adopt now. So what we believe in is that this is actually I learned from the Quran in Surah Al-As. It said we just berpesan, just pesan to someone, and we don't have the right to influence them, but we just pesan untuk buat baik, and I think this is useful. If you think it's useful, you come back to us and we provide the solution.
Yeah.
So that's why we never force any of our customers. You must take this.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And I guess that builds trust too, lah, right?
yes,
In
steady
terms of,
steady growth.
Mm.
Steady growth. In terms of finding business fit, we actually still finding it. So as we speak, the first 3 years actually for FoxyMojo, we started in 2018. This is our considered third year, second to third year. So we try to experiment right now. So we found one sweet spot in Japan.
Sounds like, yeah.
Yeah. So we need to find more sweet spot, because the thing is, it's very tough to understand the market with limited resources that we have. So I need to fly in, fly out, and try to really understand who needs what. And then that's where I know, like, for example, in Japan, what should we do with the deal? If it's come from Africa, what should we do with the deal? That we are a long way of figuring out. We need all the insights that we can.
Especially now. Well, I'm sure one of the answer is okay lah. You can just do video calls, right?
Yes,
but
we do.
but the thing is, to really understand the network in a certain place, sometimes you just have to be there.
Yes,
Right.
we believe in heart-to-heart discussion. We don't believe in, I just call you and talk nonsense.
Yeah.
We believe in really heart-to-heart, painful discussion. We love heart talk. We love heart talk.
Right.
Some of the companies, you'll be surprised that one of my typical question when I meet new clients is to ask them, like, if let's say they have co-founders, right? They have,
Mm.
let's say, I have 3 co-founders running company 10 million to 20 million. So I ask them like, what do you want from this company in the next 10 years? This guy say A, this guy say B, this guy say C. Then they were looking at each other. Usually, we are not aligned. In the first place, that was only the first question.
Right.
And I use this trick question all the time with new companies. And they realize that they're not aligned. Then how can they grow the company? Because you want different things.
Yeah.
And that was the first start. So
And sometimes it's because because you're co-founders, right? You know each other very well, or supposed to. It's a very difficult topic to bring up because you don't want to offend anybody, right? I mean, you don't want to step over somebody, right? Because it's ego at play, and especially when there are co-founders, there will be the one who are louder than another, right? Let's put it that way, right? So and then it's so, that dynamics is there. Sometimes it takes somebody else from the outside, like yourself, to broach the subject.
You
that
correctly
they have
pointed
to,
it.
right? It's like, okay, now it's on the table, right? Before you wouldn't, as partners, you wouldn't bring it up, right? Because it's awkward,
Yes.
right?
Yes. In fact, that's what they're paying us for. So I'm not saying we are great in facilitation, but we're quite good in really heart-to-heart discussion. Until we get to the heart of everyone, and are we really going to do this? We're not going to have like theory academic type of
all wayang kulit lah, right?
All wayang kulit. We really go to heart, and we ask them whether it makes sense for then. It makes sense to grow. To us, it's all about invitation. We believe leadership is about invitation.
What do you mean?
Leadership is about invitation. After a while, been dealing with leaders, and I realized everybody has different definition about leadership. Some of them talking about influence. Some talk about tolerance. What makes a great leader? I truly believe in a basic concept, which is actually got from the same surah. Surah Al-As is about invitation. That's why we keep on inviting our companies. We're not forcing, but we're inviting them. So, for example, let's say I'm not able to attend a certain event. I got an invitation. So I can tell Jerry and say, look, Jerry, can you go and represent me for this, because this is very useful. But that is like bossing him. What I can do is actually to just invite him. Hey, Jerry, I got this invitation. I give a little bit background about the invitation, and then would you feel like to be part of the program? So then
he has the choice lah.
He has a choice. So we always believe in giving choice, and the decision must come from within. That's our main operandi. So we that's why we say about invitation is the key of leadership, because whenever someone actually invites someone else to do good, they're actually taking leadership. It can be someone at the lowest structure in the company, but if they're asking you to do good, they're actually taking leadership, because you are going to follow, right? You're going to follow. So that's one of our way of understanding and see if someone taking leadership. If someone invites someone else to do good, we know they are taking leadership. They probably didn't realize that. Yeah. So and we literally use that in our business model. Before this meeting, I had a chat. It's almost about online donation with a friend, and of course they have ideas, but I think what the organization's trying to do is more on forcing the system that they have. Then I told them, why not you check and see whether what people think in terms of is this a choice that they prefer, or is just a good to have, or is it necessary? Yeah. That's very important in entrepreneur world. In fact, in Southeast Asia, the common mistakes of entrepreneurship is actually we never learn lah. To be honest, we have never learned. Top mistake has been published in many websites, and it's about validating with customers. You assume that this is what the customer wants. Every time, I don't know why.
It's the same problem.
It's the same problem.
No empathy, no validation, no design thinking lah.
Really, seriously, I'm shocked. And this,
Still,
bro, these people are directors of companies. They are 20, 30 over years experience in the company, and yet the first problem they're not getting it right is to force what they feel is right.
I guess the other cliche on that one is what has made you successful to get to where you are today doesn't necessarily mean will get you successful in the future lah, right?
That's very true.
Right? So that's why I don't need to ask my customers, look, I've been in it for 30 years, it's worked fine, so I know what the people want, right?
It costs a big tuition fee, bro. I've seen companies burn hundreds of thousands just because they didn't validate. So they actually employ us after a while, and actually they intend to put me on the supervisory board as well. But I when I look at that, hey, we are deployed 70% of the funds with a solution that you not ask your customers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
there's no
costs
point.
hundreds of thousands, and that's crazy. Why are you building this for? Who are you building this for? You don't even know your persona. I was like,
Okay.
are you sure?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened for any most of the initiative that we have seen in the market. Yeah, so I guess we
all
never
these
learn.
short sendiri projects lah.
We never learn. We never
Yeah.
learn. I'm surprised.
But you see, the problem is, out of the 100 projects, one probably works, right? Because it kind of by coincidence aligns with what the customer wants. So then, like, hey, see, hebat. I know what they want. you know?
I'm not seeing that honestly. But what I've
Okay.
seen, what I've seen in the past, they pivoted
Right.
to the technique to
Yeah.
change the technique in that it works.
Yeah. But after lah, you know.
After probably 200,000 of burning
so
money.
unnecessary cost lah.
Unnecessary costs. I've
Yeah.
seen company burn 500,000 on things that they never validate. They just go and pitch to investors. Of course, you know, if you know how to spin a story, probably investors would like your story and then invest.
Yeah.
But after a while, people would know that doesn't work.
So let's go back to your own OKR. So I guess just to kind of cover this off a little bit. So your first set of OKRs was to first from an entrepreneur to understand corporate, and in that journey to do things couple of years and then you move on, right? Then to understand how the government works,
Yes.
right? So these personal OKRs, I'm just fascinated even right from the beginning, right? What drove you to have this kind of mindset, to have such long-term view of what you want to do, right?
It was painful. Lessons that I learned when I started as entrepreneur, and I feel I don't know a lot of things. I truly feel that I don't know a lot of things. So I say, how can I learn this? How can I learn to be better at this? The only way is to join the company. To join the company, really, because viewing from outside, of course, really different. In fact, I have a lot of different thoughts. When I joined company, the reality, perception and reality really
It's
really
different.
different lah.
Yeah.
So that's why.
So now, you've been at it for coming to 3 years. Right?
Yes.
By your standards, this is a bit long already. But it seems like, I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth, that there are enough differences in FoxyMojo to do that is actually not the same thing for the next,
Yes.
I don't know, 5, 6 years, 10 years.
Yes. The reason why we also was identified by a unique company when we were assessed in International Trade Center is because our model is very different. So they were trying to, when you got into procurement process, they have to get other vendors, right? They couldn't find in the world.
Yeah, to compare.
They have to compare. They couldn't find in the world. That's why we got it.
Right.
That's why we got it. They couldn't find like such different model. So I said, okay. And we've seen validation at the top level. So right now we are educating the market. Look, why are you paying a director, for example, to work in a company, but you probably need them for 4 years? 4 hours rather than total 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
we mooted that ideas. We actually feel that this is just a beginning. So FoxyMojo is not about 2 years plan, but is my next milestone is about 5 years from now, which is to turn around company. And FoxyMojo is a way for me to get into more SME, understand about how to turn around. Of course, I need some mentors along the way. I've been fortunate to meet some of really, really good guys that allow me to understand how they do it.
Right.
So
Some success stories lah.
some success stories. These guys are really incredible. Like for example, I had the opportunity to meet the chairman of SkyMark Airline, Dr. Sayama, for example. He's a turnaround expert in Japan. Really turnaround companies, like amazing. So I intend to do one project and also learn a little bit more how he turned around. Amazingly about SkyMark Airline, it was it was in a deep problem, and he took over in 2 years, and then he turned around the company, and now got plan for listing, for example.
Send him over to Malaysia Airlines.
That was okay. So that was one.
Oh, there's another conversation that we can't be talking about.
Yeah. So it would.
But
be
actually,
nice
to be
have.
honest, in that specific industry right now, it's tough, right?
Yes.
Trouble,
But he owned I think about 18 more companies that similar size, huge. And I actually inspired to be like him. So he's actually my ideal profile.
Okay.
That like I want to be him like in the next 10 years.
Okay.
So I realized his strength is actually on, of course, identifying deals, but because he understood turnaround business very well, he can identify better. So
and he has a track record too.
And he has track record. And has very good track record. Amazing. Who in the banks in Japan do not know him? Like really,
I see.
Amazing guy. So I that's my ID profile. It's very interesting. It's very clear that what type of persons that I'd like to be in the next 10 years. So I'm trying right now. I don't know whether it's gonna work. So I always believe in setting a goal that is possible but not easy. Yeah, it's definitely not easy. I don't know how am I going to get deals to turn around companies. As well. Not every company in deep shit. Maybe many company in deep shit, but probably the growth potential will need to be there as well.
That's right. It's not just about turning around.
Yeah, we need to have the right
some
the right
just have
portfolio.
no hope, right?
Yeah, we need to have the right portfolio. If not, I couldn't save them. Hopefully, yeah.
Okay lah, bro. It's just over an hour now. I've taken up your time.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you about your journey so far.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasant surprise that I've not been talking to you about this before.
Yeah, it's always been superficial, right?
Yeah.
Because but I thought when I was thinking back about how the things that you've done, especially obviously for me, it's always interesting to understand about people's motivations when they set up a company, right? To understand, is that something that's nurture or nature, right? More and more I'm finding it's a lot of nature than nurture, right? It's like you said, right? At 15 you were already into it, right?
Yep.
Irrespective
By
of
chance,
what
yeah.
By chance, right? But but you took the chance, right? It's not like okay lah, you're gonna be a geek and build this thing for myself and that's it, right? But you actually commercialized it, even
yes,
then,
in a way,
then,
yes,
right?
yes.
And then, so it's fascinating that way. So yeah, thanks for spending the time.
Thank you, Abraham.
Definitely come back again in
Yes.
the next couple of months, and then let's find out where FoxyMojo
Yes.
has got to.
Yes, hopefully we can also support you in any way that we can.
Yeah,
through our small networks.
Yeah, I would love to have guys out there for me to speak to, right? For them to share. I mean, the whole purpose of these conversations really is for the lessons, right? That other people and myself especially to learn from and apply ourselves.
Yep, so many things I personally do not know.
Yeah. I think we're always on that learning curve, right?
always on the learning curve.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.